Hi, I'm Vera and I'm going to share how I recovered from severe chronic fatigue syndrome and irritable bowel syndrome from 2016 to February 2019. I was completely bedbound. In addition, the fall of 2015 I was also bedbound, and then I had a few months break where I tried to function, and then I fully collapsed for 3 years. So I have a paper here because I want to get this story right. There's a lot to this story, but in this video I'm going to focus on the physical aspect of my recovery. So first I'll tell you where I'm at now, and then I'll tell you how sick I was, and then the recovery story. So right now I'm working a 70% position. Yeah, I'm cooking, cleaning, I'm out and about all day. I have my own car, I drive to work. I also participate in dance classes once a week, and I love to dance on the weekends as well, to go out and dance. And I'm also studying part-time in addition. What I'm studying is what made me recover, which we'll get to. So yeah, I'm in a good place now, and it's getting better and better and better, because when you recover physically, you don't just return to the person you were before and the life you had. You have already gone some steps on this healing journey, and you begin to go inwards, mentally, emotionally. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm on a very spiritual journey, you could say. Okay, so before I collapsed and got the chronic fatigue syndrome diagnosis, I had irritable bowel syndrome. So my irritable bowel syndrome started in 2012. I didn't digest anything well. I couldn't eat anything without some form of discomfort, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. At one point I was in so much pain I couldn't sit. I had so much pain in my stomach. After lunch in university, I would just stand in the bathroom trying to breathe and trying to figure out how to get home, but it was too painful to get on a bus. It was I was so trapped. So I had severe digestive issues for 3 years before my health really deteriorated, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. So 2016 I fully collapsed, and I also had a lot of nervous system issues. I couldn't really feel my hands or feet, and I couldn't walk properly, and I couldn't straighten my knees. If I tried to straighten my knees, I would just shake, and I could only limp, and it was so painful and weird, and I felt all these electric shocks of pain in my arms and legs, which were horrible. So I couldn't walk anymore, and I couldn't use my hands. They were constantly in this position, and I couldn't do anything, couldn't cook, or I tried, and yeah. I remember texting with my thumb onto the side. And I also was very sound sensitive and light sensitive. If someone used cutlery 2 rooms away, it pierced me, and I would start crying because I couldn't escape the sound. I couldn't go anywhere because I was trapped in bed. It was a horrible, horrible situation. It makes me feel anxious to think back on it. So 2016 just went to bed, you could say. 2017 did all the healthcare. I went on a tour in the healthcare system, you could say. Every department, neurology, endocrinology, infection, almost every single department I toured at the hospital, and no one could help me. Not even gastroenterology, which I had tried for a few years to get some help with my digestion, but nothing helped. I did a low FODMAP diet for a couple of years, but it didn't work. So 2018, there was nothing more the healthcare system could do for me. I gave up on them, they gave up on me, and I just kind of, I wouldn't say gave up, but I needed to just rest for a bit and stop trying, because the trying seemed to make it worse. It was just so stressful and humiliating to see these doctors who looked at me and they saw this young girl who was hysterical or hypochondriac. I just didn't want to subject myself to the humiliation and anger I felt at these appointments anymore. There was no point. So 2018, I lost a lot of weight, couldn't digest anything anymore. I became 40 kilos, which is not a lot. I did not look healthy at all. And I was just gray, I looked gray. And I was honestly preparing to die. I hadn't given up, but I just knew there weren't any help in the societal structure as it is today. There wasn't anything offered. So I kind of gave up to rest and think. And during that time, I really needed to get some physical help because it was really going downhill. I was so skinny, couldn't digest, couldn't sleep, and my heart, I had like heart palpitations. I had reached that level of skinny. So things were beginning to collapse, you could say. Since I was in bed all day, I did listen to some podcasts, and I randomly came across Ayurveda, which is what we're going to talk about, on the Lavender Lifestyle podcast. She's a YouTuber, you probably heard of her. And she had a guest, which was Sahara Rose, the author of Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda. I almost said the idiot of Ayurveda. When she spoke about her complex health issues that somehow seemed correlated but were treated separately, just like my health issues. I got one cream for this eczema, one pill for nausea, one pill, yeah, you know, the drill. And she spoke about Ayurveda, and I bought that book so fast and I read it. Even though I had horrible headaches, I just read it in 3 days, I think. I knew there was something in this. So, what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda is the ancient health system of India. It's a very holistic, mind, body, whole person medicine. And in the center of your health is your digestion. So Ayurveda categorizes chronic fatigue syndrome as a disease of indigestion. I should write it here. It's very important because it fits my story perfectly. I began having indigestion, and a few years of having indigestion led me to chronic fatigue syndrome, because bad digestion is so depleting to your body. You can't build healthy tissues, you can't build strength or immunity from bad digestion. Yeah, spring 2018 I discovered Ayurveda, but then I tried to implement these tips in the book slowly. Making lunch the biggest meal of your day, because that's when your digestion is the strongest. So lunch is the new dinner, you could say. But I was already so sick that these general tips didn't really help much. So I knew I needed Ayurvedic doctor or treatment. But then I'm like, I live in Norway. I can't travel right now. I'm too sick to travel. I can't travel to India to receive this treatment. But then I actually found a practitioner in my city, which had moved there a couple years earlier. So you could say fate. And she cooperated with an Indian doctor who was a doctor of both Western medicine and a doctor of Ayurveda. And so she designed a protocol for me, and the practitioner here in Trondheim executed it. And this Ayurvedic intensive treatment is called PANCHAKARMA. And PANCHAKARMA means 5 actions. These are the tools the practitioners choose from. And every treatment is specifically tailored to the individual. So no 2 people will have the exact same panchakarma. Because in Ayurveda, they believe in the different body types and different states and imbalances right now. So they need to tailor it to your specific body type, the one you were born with, the one you have when you are healthy, and the imbalance you are in right now. And if 2 people have the same imbalance, but they have underlying different body types, they need different treatments so you won't trigger the underlying, you won't trigger an imbalance in the underlying body type. I am my body type, which I will always have. It's the one I was born with. It's called Pitta. It basically means fire. And it makes a lot of sense because I easily feel hot. I don't like to lie in the sun. It's just too much for me. My skin is sensitive. I easily get acne, eczema. I easily get acid reflux. All these are signs of the Pitta body type. And my imbalance, my illness, was a severe Vata imbalance. Vata means air. My Vata symptoms were dryness, extreme constipation, dry skin, anxiety, insomnia, heart palpitations, weight loss. My joints were cracking so much, and my spine was so stiff I couldn't straighten my back anymore. I felt like and had a lot of signs of old age. Basically, I had dried up like a prune. So the first thing they did to get my body back on the right track was teach me how to take care of my digestion, my AGNI, my digestive fire. And I learned to not eat when I'm not hungry, to eat foods that are easier to digest, because when I had IBS, I mostly ate bread, salads, in general very raw and rough and dry things, which then gives you gas because they are dry. So I remember when being on the low FODMAP diet, even though the meal was low FODMAP, it still made me bloated because it was dry. A gluten-free cracker is still dry and will give you gas. That's what I learned. So I learned to eat more cooked foods, more moist foods, like just cooked vegetables instead of salad, curries, stews, soups, porridge, more moisturized, more moisture for your gut, and therefore less constipation. But the most important thing was not eating when you're not hungry. And seriously, this tip, if you only take one thing from this video, it's don't eat when you're not hungry. And if you're never hungry, try eating a bit of ginger with a squeeze of lime and some rock salt, just small piece. This will get your fire started. I did that during my treatment, and now I do it if I can feel that my appetite is lower because of emotions or stress or whatever. I give it a little boost from ginger or spices. Where was I? Yeah, AGNI. It's very important. Changing from eating hard to digest foods to easy to digest foods gave me back my energy like that overnight. I kid you not. Because I usually felt the most fatigue right after meals. Right after meals was when I got to the crawl from the bed to the bathroom. I seriously used to do that. I just felt so foggy. I don't know. So heavy, so foggy. And when I had my first meal of rice and lentils and spices, I felt energized. I felt fresh. I felt this new sensation. I felt amazing. And I started eating, I changed my diet a few days before the intensive treatment. And I felt so much better already, even before we started Panchakarma. I felt, and my energy was back, but my strength wasn't, because I was so weak from all those years in bed. So in my Panchakarma, we did a lot of Abhyanga, which is the oil massage. It's a lymph massage, like a detox massage. Indigestion leads to ama, or toxins. It means undigested. And it accumulates in your digestive system and in your tissues. So when you do the oil lymph massage, you loosen up what's stored in your tissues and you get it out through you massage it back into your digestive system and then to be released. And after Abhyanga, we did Svedana, which is sweating in the steam. Have you seen those steam boxes when your head is outside? That's what they usually use. But since I was too sick to come to the clinic, the practitioner came to my house and we had to like improvise something in a bathtub with a shower curtain wrapped around me and the steamer. It was kind of funny, but it worked. Yeah, Abhyanga, Svedana, and Basti, which is a very vata pacifying treatment. It basically means herbal oil up your butt. yeah, I won't go into that so much, but after years of constipation and dryness, I kind of needed it. So I did that every night for 16 days. And we also did nausea, which is herbal oil, like 2 drops or something up your sinuses. Like you just tilt your head back and they put a few drops in and you breathe in, because in Ayurveda they believe the sinuses are the gateway to the brain, and the herbs in this oil were like nervous system regulators to calm down the mind and the nervous system. And I remember every time I got this herbal oil in my sinuses, I just felt like, oh. I felt really calm. And in addition, I took herbs and spices. I took half a teaspoon of a herbal mixture every morning, and after every meal I took half a teaspoon of a spice mix to help my digestion, like cumin, coriander, fennel mix. That's a spice mix everyone can use. So if you're currently having bad digestion, you can mix these 3 and sprinkle it on your food or cook it in your food, and it will help your digestion. Cumin especially reduces gas, and coriander is especially good for acid reflux. And fennel is good for constipation. Fennel tea, yeah. So February 2019, 16 days of this. I felt like I was in this, it was kind of exhausting because I was on this schedule around the clock. Okay, breakfast, herbs, now it's the massage, now it's the sweating, okay, lunch, now it's like all day. But I began to feel so much better. The first week of these 16 days, the practitioner came to my house because I was too sick. The evening before we started, I cried because I thought I wouldn't be able to walk down the stairs, open the door for her, and walk back up again. I was scared I wouldn't be able to, and I would be trapped downstairs when my bed was upstairs. This was the level of fear and illness I was at. And the second week, I took a taxi to the clinic, did the treatment there, took the taxi back home for a few days, and then the last 3 or 4 days, I took the freaking bus. Yes, I can remember the feeling of triumph. I took the bus. I walked to the bus stop, took the bus, walked a little bit in the city, took the bus back home. My energy was back. It was back. So I made a lot of life changes after this physical recovery, because I realized that if I didn't want to get sick again, then I had to remove the cause. In Ayurveda they say, find the cause, remove the cause. So I got a very big physical boost from PANCHAKARMA, and then I had to look at, why did I get so sick? And I realized a lot of things, and I made a lot of changes in terms of stress and abusive relationships. My main cause was abusive environment. I had dried up like a prune because I had been walking on eggshells and lived in constant fear for 26 years of my life. And that's how much walking on eggshells can ruin your health. It destroys you. Don't do it, seriously. Get out of there. So now I I am healing the trauma I endured, and I feel like I am becoming myself. I'm not living a lie anymore. I'm not being someone else wanted me to be. I don't people please anymore. Or I try not to. I still do it sometimes. It's a hard habit to kick, but I'm getting there. But I have written more about that on my website. If you are bedbound right now, I'm so sorry. I really feel for you. And I know that there are ways out of this trap, this darkness. It might not seem possible, but I learned that even though there isn't help in a system, doesn't mean there isn't help at all. I hope you get better soon. And don't hesitate to ask me questions or contact me. I want to share my story to help others in similar situations. So thank you for your time. Okay, bye.